Have you ever found yourself in a relationship, caught in an invisible battle, where the absolute, undeniable need to be right feels like a relentless inner tyrant? That familiar tightening in your chest, the subtle tremor in your voice, the surge of adrenaline whenever an opinion differs, a decision is challenged, or a simple conversation veers into disagreement. It's an exhausting, often silent struggle, isn't it? A constant internal negotiation between the desire for harmony and the insistent clamor of the mind demanding validation, demanding to be proven correct. This isn't just about winning an argument. It feels far more profound, touching the very core of your worth. Perhaps you recognize this pattern: the subtle defensiveness, the elaborate justifications, the meticulous recounting of details, all designed to build an unassailable fortress around your perspective. You might find yourself replaying conversations in your mind, meticulously crafting what you should have said, fueling a cycle of frustration and regret. You might even feel a deep sense of injustice, as if your truth is being denied, leading to a profound loneliness, even when you are with your partner. This relentless need to be right can create an invisible wall between you and the man you love, slowly eroding trust, intimacy, and genuine connection. It can lead to moments where you feel utterly unseen, unheard, and misunderstood, trapped in a silent plea for your reality to be acknowledged. And the more you push to be right, the more distant he might become, creating a vacuum that only amplifies your underlying anxieties, the fear of abandonment, the terror of not being chosen, the deep-seated belief that your intensity is too much. This isn't merely a personality quirk or a communication flaw. No, this profound, often unconscious drive to be right is a powerful symptom of something far deeper within the subtle anatomy of your being. It whispers of a mind that has become accustomed to identifying itself with its own constructs, its opinions, its past experiences, and its projected future. It speaks to a profound need for external validation, a longing for your outer reality to align perfectly with your inner narrative, as if your very existence depends on this congruence. This isn't a sign that there's something wrong with you. It's a testament to the mind's powerful conditioning, its default setting of self-preservation through intellectual dominance. But what if this desperate clinging to rightness is actually preventing you from experiencing the very peace and deep connection you crave? What if, in this constant battle, you are sacrificing the exquisite harmony of true communion for the fleeting victory of a mental argument? In our modern world, we are often subtly conditioned to equate being right with strength, intelligence, and even self-worth. We're taught to defend our positions, to win debates, to never back down. But this externalized approach often leaves us feeling empty, disconnected, and perpetually on edge within our most intimate relationships. It's a relentless drain on your vital energy, a constant state of internal tension. You might find yourself exhausted by the effort, longing for a simpler, more peaceful way to exist within your partnerships. This battle is not waged against your partner. It is an internal conflict, a war within the self, between the clamoring ego and the quiet wisdom of your true self, your you. This deep-seated pattern often stems from unexamined vulnerabilities, from moments in your past where your truth was dismissed, your voice silenced, or your emotions invalidated. Perhaps you learned, implicitly or explicitly, that your safety and significance depended on asserting your perspective, on proving your worthiness. And so, the mind, in its attempt to protect you, constructed a fortress of rightness around your sensitive core. But this fortress, intended to keep you safe, has ironically become a prison, isolating you from genuine intimacy and from the profound peace that comes from surrendering the need for external validation. It feeds the anxious waiting, the desire to be the choice and not an option, pushing you into patterns where you try to control the narrative because you fear losing control of your own emotional landscape. Today, we will delve into 3 profound yoga practices, rooted in the timeless wisdom of Raja Yoga and the Vedic tradition, that are designed to gently yet powerfully dissolve this insidious need to always be right. These are not superficial communication tips or tactical advice to manipulate outcomes. No, these are internal disciplines, pathways to self-mastery that will transform your inner world, and by extension, the very fabric of your relationships. We will explore how to reclaim your sovereign you from the clutches of a mind addicted to validation, how to transcend the mental noise, and how to find an unshakable inner peace that is independent of any external agreement or outcome. This journey is about liberation, about cultivating an inner sanctuary where your worth is self-evident, where your peace is inherent, and where love flows not from a place of desperate need, but from the overflowing wellspring of your own self-mastery. By embracing these practices, you will discover that true power lies not in being right, but in being whole, centered, and fully aligned with your authentic self. This is the path of true sovereignty, a path that heals the soul, fortifies the will, and transforms every connection you forge. The first practice for dissolving the relentless need to be right is the co-observation of vriddis, detaching from the mind's fluctuations. Consider your mind not as your ultimate identity, but as an incredibly powerful, yet often unruly, instrument. In Raja Yoga, as articulated by masters like Yogi Ramacharaka, the you, your true self, is the sovereign, the master, while the mind is merely a tool, an instrument through which the you experiences and interacts with the world. However, through conditioning, trauma, and societal pressures, we often mistakenly identify with the mind, believing its thoughts, opinions, and emotions to be the very essence of who we are. This fundamental error, this identification with the non-you, is the root of much suffering, including the pervasive need to always be right. When your mind generates an opinion, a judgment, or a desired outcome for a conversation, and you identify with it completely, then any challenge to that mental construct feels like a direct assault on your very being. This is why disagreement can feel so acutely painful, why being misunderstood can trigger a visceral panic, and why the silent distance of a partner can feel like an existential threat. Think of your mind as a turbulent ocean, constantly stirred by waves of thoughts, memories, desires, and opinions. These waves, or vriddis as Patanjali's Yoga Sutras describe them, are the ceaseless fluctuations of mental activity. When you are caught in the need to be right, you are essentially drowning in one of these powerful waves, believing that the wave itself is the ocean, rather than just a temporary movement on its surface. Your mind, in its attempt to protect you from the perceived threat of being wrong or unworthy, creates elaborate narratives and justifications. It becomes a relentless advocate for its own perspective, gathering evidence, recalling past events, and projecting future consequences, all in a desperate effort to assert its dominance. This is the subtle addiction to validation, the unconscious desire for external congruence that the mind, through its egoic identification, craves. This constant mental activity creates a profound inner restlessness, an unquiet mind that struggles to find peace. because its peace is made conditional upon external agreement. This is why you might feel an agonizing anxiety when waiting for a text, or why the silence of your partner feels like a personal rejection. Your mind is identifying its peace with external validation, rather than finding it within the sovereignty of the you. The practice of observing vriddis invites you to step back, to become the witness, the detached observer of your own mental landscape. It asks you to recognize that a thought, an opinion, or an emotion is not you. It is simply an event occurring within your consciousness. When that familiar urge to defend your position arises, or when your mind starts meticulously crafting arguments, instead of immediately engaging with it, pause. Take a deep, conscious breath, and then simply observe it. Watch the thought as if it were a cloud passing by in the sky of your mind. Notice the sensation in your body, the tightening, the racing heart, the flush of heat. Acknowledge these sensations without judgment and without identifying with them. Say to yourself, silently, "Ah, there is the thought, I need to be right about this." There is the feeling of defensiveness. Do not try to stop the thought, nor cling to it. Simply observe its presence, its intensity, and its eventual dissipation. This seemingly simple act of observation is profoundly revolutionary. It creates a sacred space between your true self, the you, and the churning activity of your mind. It reminds the mind, implicitly, that it is not the master. It is an instrument being observed. This practice cultivates the vontad, will, the inherent power of the you to direct its focus and to choose its internal state, rather than being at the mercy of its mental habits. The fear of not being prioritized, the battle between your sovereign you and your needy mind, begins to dissolve when you practice this detachment. You realize that your value, your inherent worth, is not contingent upon the validity of your opinions or the outcome of any external debate. Your value resides in your very being, in the quiet, unchanging presence of your you. Consider the metaphor of a serene lake. When a stone is thrown into it, ripples spread across its surface. The vriddis are these ripples. The mind is the surface of the lake. But you, the you, are the depth and stillness beneath, unaffected by the surface disturbances. The need to be right is just one of those ripples. By observing it without judgment or entanglement, you allow the ripples to settle, and the inherent stillness of your true self to emerge. This practice isn't about suppressing your thoughts or becoming passive. It's about discerning between what is real, your you, and what is transient, your mental fluctuations. It transforms the incessant mental chatter into a clear stream, allowing you to discern when an opinion is merely an opinion, and when it is being propelled by a deeper insecurity. This is how you begin to reclaim your inner sovereignty, realizing that the greatest power lies not in controlling the external world, but in mastering your own internal landscape. The second profound practice for liberating yourself from the need to always be right in relationships involves understanding the sai, dharma of connection, and the karma of projection. Many of our relationship frustrations stem from a fundamental misalignment between our true purpose, dharma, and our attachment to outcomes, karma's fruits. We often enter relationships with a hidden agenda, not necessarily malicious, but often unconscious, to complete ourselves, to be validated, to find our missing piece. This longing, though understandable, positions us in a place of subtle neediness, making us vulnerable to disappointment and fueling the ego's desperate attempts to control the narrative. The need to be right, in this context, becomes a mechanism to assert control over the relationship's direction, its definition, and ultimately, its ability to fulfill our unexpressed desires. It's an attempt to force reality to conform to our internal projection, rather than allowing connection to unfold organically, guided by a deeper, more profound purpose. In the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna instructs Arjuna on the principle of dharma, or righteous action, performed without attachment to its fruits. Applied to relationships, this means engaging with your partner, expressing your truth, and offering your love, not with the expectation of a specific return or validation, but as an inherent expression of your authentic self. The need to be right arises precisely when we become excessively attached to the fruit of the interaction. The need for our partner to agree, to validate, to see things our way, as if their agreement is a prerequisite for our internal peace. This attachment creates a form of mental slavery, binding our happiness to an external variable. When we are consumed by the need to be right, we are, in essence, trying to control the mind of the other before we have mastered our own. This is a fatal error, leading only to more frustration, more repetition of patterns, and a deeper sense of internal disquiet. Consider this. Your relationship is a field where karma unfolds and where your dharma is expressed. Every interaction, every word exchanged, every silence shared, carries a karmic imprint. If you consistently approach interactions with the intention to be right, to prove a point, or to exert intellectual dominance, you are planting seeds of conflict and resistance. This is the karma of projection. You project your own fears of inadequacy, your own needs for validation, onto the interaction, demanding that the external world conform to your internal narrative. This cycle often results in the repetition of the very patterns you wish to escape, the feeling of not being heard, the frustration of miscommunication, the subtle and corrosive sense of isolation within the relationship. You might observe a pattern of being in relationships where you constantly feel misunderstood, or where your partner seems to intentionally provoke your need for validation, precisely because you are holding on to this desperate need to be right. This isn't a coincidence. It is the mirror of karma, reflecting back the lessons your you needs to learn for its evolution. The practice here is to shift your intention from being right to aligning with the dharma of connection. What is the true purpose of connection? Is it to win arguments, or to foster understanding, intimacy, and mutual growth? When the urge to be right surfaces, pause and ask your sovereign you, what is my true dharma in this moment? What is the highest purpose of this interaction? Often, the highest purpose is not to assert intellectual superiority, but to listen with an open heart, to understand, to offer compassion, or simply to hold space. It is to approach the interaction not as a battle to be won, but as an opportunity for genuine exchange and deeper understanding. This involves a conscious choice to release the grip of attachment to being right, and instead, to engage from a place of inner fullness, rather than external need. This practice also involves understanding that you cannot control the narrative in someone else's mind, just as you cannot control the flow of karma in their life. You can only control your own actions, your own intentions, and your own internal state. When you release the desperate need for external validation, you liberate yourself from the cycle of constant striving and disappointment. This is not about becoming a doormat or abandoning your truth. It is about holding your truth with a quiet, unshakable confidence that does not demand external agreement to confirm its validity. It is about understanding that your peace comes from within, from your alignment with your Dharma, and not from the external response of your partner. This inner alignment, this unshakable self-reliance, is the true power that attracts harmonious relationships, because you are no longer operating from a place of lack, or demanding that your partner fill a void only your you can address. This is the essence of conscious attraction. When you cease to need, you begin to truly attract from a place of sovereign abundance. The third transformative practice to dissolve the need to always be right in relationships is the cultivation of mai, conscious devotion, and self-centering through the archetype of Radha. In the Vedic tradition, particularly within Bhakti Yoga, the relationship between Radha and Krishna is often celebrated as the epitome of divine love and devotion. However, what is often overlooked is that Radha's devotion is not one of blind self-abnegation or desperate attachment. On the contrary, Radha embodies a profound and conscious surrender that paradoxically strengthens her own identity and sovereignty. Her love is an act of overflow from a self that is inherently complete, not a plea from a self that feels empty. This archetype teaches us how to love with deep engagement and reverence, without losing our center, without becoming absorbed or annihilated in the other, and critically, without the egoic need to impose our rightness on the beloved. The need to be right often stems from a profound internal insecurity, a subtle fear that if our perspective is not validated, our very worth is diminished. It is a desperate attempt of the ego to control the narrative, to create a sense of certainty in an uncertain world, to avoid the discomfort of not knowing or being wrong. This fear makes us merge with our opinions, making them indistinguishable from our identity. In this state, loving someone often translates into a subconscious expectation for them to fulfill our unmet needs, to validate our existence, to essentially become a mirror, reflecting only what we wish to see. This is where the confusion between overwhelming passion, often rooted in projection and illusion, and real, conscious love, rooted in awareness and detachment, arises. When passion is based on filling a void, the need to be right becomes a defense mechanism against the inevitable disappointment that no one else can truly complete us. Radha, in her essence, embodies the concept of prema bhakti, a love that is pure, spontaneous, and utterly selfless, yet paradoxically makes her the most powerful and sovereign. Her devotion flows from a place of such deep internal completeness that she doesn't need Krishna to complete her. Rather, her love enhances and reflects her own divine nature. She is not seeking validation from him. She is expressing her inherent fullness through her connection with him. This is the crucial distinction. True devotion, like true love, comes from an overflowing wellspring within your sovereign you, not from a barren landscape yearning for replenishment from an external source. When you love from a place of inner completeness, the need to be right simply dissipates because your sense of worth is not tied to the other's agreement or validation. Your worth is inherent, self-evident, and sovereign. The practice derived from Radha's archetype is conscious self-centering amidst devotion. When you find yourself in a disagreement, or when the urge to assert your rightness surfaces, instead of engaging externally, shift your awareness inward. Locate your own inner center, the core of your sovereign you. This is the place of stillness, peace, and inherent knowing within you, untouched by the fluctuations of the mind or the dynamics of the external relationship. It is the seat of your inner authority, your unshakable self. From this centered place, you can then choose how to respond. You can listen without the agenda of rebuttal. You can speak your truth not with the expectation of agreement, but as an offering from your authentic self. You can love with an open heart, yet without losing your own identity or boundaries. This practice allows you to transform the anxiety of waiting, the panic of abandonment, and the internal battle between your sovereign you and your needy mind. You realize that the chemistry you felt initially, often a powerful projection of your own desires and ideals onto the other, can evolve into a deeper, more conscious connection, built on mutual respect and the recognition of each other's inherent sovereignty. It means loving your partner, seeing their divine essence, engaging with them fully, yet always remembering that your own ultimate source of happiness and completeness resides within your sovereign you. This isn't about emotional distance. It's about emotional freedom. It's about loving someone so deeply that you can allow them their own truth, their own journey, without needing it to perfectly align with yours for you to feel whole. This is the secret to loving without losing your identity, to transforming carencia, neediness, into a powerful magnetic attraction that emanates from your self-sufficiency. Your calmness, rooted in this self-centeredness, becomes the most potent force for changing the dynamic between you, because it communicates an unspoken truth. Your peace is not negotiable, and it does not depend on their actions or validation. We have journeyed through 3 powerful yoga practices that serve as keys to unlock your emotional sovereignty and dissolve the insidious need to always be right in your relationships. We began with the observation of vriddhis, learning to gently detach from the turbulent fluctuations of the mind, recognizing that your thoughts and opinions are not your ultimate identity. By becoming the witness, the sovereign observer of your mental landscape, you reclaim your you from the clutches of egoic identification. This practice liberates you from the internal tyrant that demands external validation, showing you that your worth is inherent, not contingent on external agreement. The constant battle between your sovereign you and the needy mind, fueled by the fear of abandonment or the pain of not being chosen, begins to subside as you cultivate this profound detachment. You cease to be tossed about by the waves of mental agitation, discovering the deep, unshakable stillness that lies beneath the surface of your consciousness. Next, we explored the dharma of connection and the karma of projection, shifting our intention from being right to aligning with the higher purpose of genuine connection. This practice, rooted in the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, invites you to engage in relationships not with an attachment to specific outcomes, but as an expression of your true self, your dharma, by understanding that the need to be right is often a karmic pattern of projecting your internal insecurities and demanding external validation. You begin to break free from cycles of repetition and disappointment. You learn to discern between a relationship that serves your highest growth, dharma, and one that merely echoes old, unhealed wounds, karma. This is about accepting the natural flow of life, recognizing that you can only truly master your own internal state, not the mind or actions of another. This conscious shift transforms the very fabric of your interactions, replacing struggle with a sense of purpose and peace that radiates from your own alignment. Finally, we delved into conscious devotion and self-centering through the archetype of Radha, revealing how true love and devotion flow from a place of inherent completeness, not desperate need. Radha teaches us that true, Connection blossoms when we are deeply rooted in our own sovereign you, loving not from a place of lack, but from an overflowing wellspring of inner abundance. This practice dissolves the ego's demand for rightness, because your worth is no longer contingent on external validation. It allows you to transform the illusion of passionate attachment, often rooted in projections, into a conscious, discerning love that honors both your own identity and that of your partner. When you embody this self-centeredness, not as selfishness, but as a grounded presence in your true self, you become an unshakable force, attracting relationships that reflect your own depth and sovereignty, rather than feeding old patterns of dependence. These three practices, far from being mere techniques, are profound pathways to self-mastery. They invite you to undertake an internal revolution, transforming your relationship with yourself first, which then inevitably transforms your external relationships. It is a journey from the relentless pursuit of external validation to the deep wellspring of internal peace. It is the path of realizing that true power lies not in controlling others' perceptions or winning every argument, but in mastering your own mind and emotions. When you release the desperate need to be right, you create space for authentic understanding, for genuine intimacy, and for a love that thrives in freedom, not in control. The pain you've experienced, the frustration of repetition, the fear of abandonment, the constant battle between your sovereign you and your needy mind, is not a sign of brokenness. It is a powerful catalyst, an urgent invitation from your deepest self to reclaim your inherent sovereignty. It is a call to listen to the quiet voice of your you, which knows your worth is not tied to any external outcome or validation. This is how you cultivate an unshakable self-esteem that comes from within, not from the fleeting praise or agreement of others. By embracing these practices, you step into your true power, becoming the conscious architect of your inner reality and magnetizing relationships that reflect your newfound wholeness and peace. What if the very disagreements that once felt like existential threats are, in truth, sacred opportunities for you to practice this profound self-mastery, to choose inner peace over external validation, and to finally hear the whisper of your own sovereign you guiding you home? The journey of dissolving the need to always be right is not a linear one, nor is it without its challenges. Your mind, accustomed to its old patterns of seeking external validation and intellectual dominance, may protest. It might try to pull you back into familiar cycles of defensiveness and justification. This is a natural part of the process, a testament to the mind's deeply ingrained habits. But remember, you are the sovereign you, and your will is the master of this instrument. Acknowledge these protests, observe them without judgment, and gently, yet firmly, redirect your attention back to your inner center. This is where your true power resides. Each time you consciously choose peace over the need to be right, each time you observe a vritti without identification, each time you act from a place of dharma rather than attachment to outcome, you are reinforcing a new neural pathway, a new way of being. You are strengthening your will and solidifying your connection to your sovereign self. This is a practice of consistent, gentle effort, not aggressive striving. It is about cultivating patience, compassion, and a deep respect for your own inner process. The fruits of this practice are profound: a deeper sense of inner peace, an unshakable self-esteem that comes from within, and relationships built on authenticity and genuine connection, rather than control or egoic battles. This path is not about becoming passive or losing your voice. On the contrary, it is about finding your authentic voice, one that speaks from a place of centered calm and clarity, unburdened by the desperate need for external approval. When you are no longer defined by the need to be right, you become truly free to express yourself, to listen deeply, and to engage in relationships with an open heart, without the invisible walls of defense. This is the essence of true sovereignty. To be so rooted in your own being that the world's opinions can neither diminish nor define you. You become your own center, radiating a quiet power that attracts harmony and authentic connection. Embrace this journey with an open heart and a disciplined mind. Recognize that every challenging interaction, every moment of internal friction, is an invitation for deeper self-discovery and greater mastery. This is your personal spiritual battlefield, and your victory lies not in external triumphs, but in the unwavering peace you cultivate within. The sovereign you waits patiently to guide you. If this exploration has resonated with the quiet yearnings of your soul, if you are tired of the endless battle to be right and long for a deeper, more peaceful way to exist in your relationships, then this is just the beginning. The path of emotional sovereignty is a continuous unveiling, a profound journey into the heart of your true self. To continue this transformative journey with us, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you will join a community of introspective women who are committed to cultivating inner peace, mastering their minds, and building relationships from a place of sovereign power, not desperate need. Do you have a personal experience with the need to always be right, and how it has impacted your relationships? Or perhaps you've begun to practice some form of self-observation or detachment. Share your insights and questions in the comments below. Your reflections not only deepen your own understanding, but also enrich our collective journey. And if you found wisdom and resonance in today's message, consider sharing this video with another woman who might be quietly battling this same internal struggle. This wisdom is meant to be shared, to empower, and to illuminate the path for others seeking true sovereignty in their lives and relationships.